Okay, this is our rotary cutter that we use to cut the plastic bags with. You can buy the mat that goes with the rotary cutter at Walmart, but we have found that it is better to work with a sheet of plexiglass. It seems to last longer than the mat that we buy. And this is what we lay our bags on to cut, and then this is what we use to hold the bags in place and give us a straight edge to cut the bags. It's just a smaller piece of plexiglass that we use for that. Once we get the bags cut, then they have to be cut into, rolled into a ball, and then this is our crochet hook that we use to crochet. It's a size P, as in Peter, and we found that's really our best size crochet hook to use. And that, other than your supply of bags, that's really all the tools that you need. Okay, our first step is to straighten the bags, and this is the way they come into us. You take the bag, I put my finger in the end down here and then pull out on the loop of the bag, and that seems to straighten it for us the way we want it. Then you press all the air out that you can get out and straighten it back as much to the original shape as you can get it. This is easier if when you bring the bags home, you straighten them before you ever put them in the cabinet or in your closet, wherever you keep your bags. I pick up a few bags at a time. I never count how many bags there are, but you can cut more than one or two at a time. Make sure that your bottom edges are as straight as you can get them. Then you take your small cutting guide and place it on the bottom of the bags and cut the bottom of the bags off. Then you go to the top, and you want to make sure that you get low enough that you don't have any of your little cutouts in your bag. You don't want them in your strips that you're cutting. So you cut the bottom off and then the top. And if you don't cut it exact, that's okay too. I go halfway of the bag. And I cut it half in two, and then I cut those two halves in half again. Then you lay those over to the side and you pick up a few more. Lay your cutting edge on the bottom. Cut the bottom. Cut the top. Sometimes we measure to see if we're about halfway. Cut it half in two. Cut that half in two again, making 4 strips out of each bag. You take your strip, and then you pick up your next strip and you loop it through. You pull this one tight, and then you pull down and you get your knot tight. You want your knots tight because the crocheters cannot crochet if there's not a good knot there. Then you go back to your pile, you pick up your next strip, you come through, you pull it tight. Then you go to your next one. Two things you do not want, and I'll show you that now. You don't want to wind up with a strip that looks like that. The crocheter cannot crochet that. They have got to be straight. You don't want a knot that looks like that. The crocheter can't work with that. So pull your knot down tight. That's the best way the crocheter can work with it. If you have a strip, when you come to it, that has a hole in it or a split in it, throw it away because it will break before the crocheter gets it crocheted into the mat. After you tie your strips into a long rope, then you have to roll them into a ball, which we call plarn or plastic yarn. I take mine, I take the end and I put it around 2 fingers. And then I just start rolling it like you would a ball. And after I get that center big enough that I can take it off my fingers, then you just start rolling like you were rolling up anything into a ball. Twisting it around. Don't worry if it's round or not. It will wind up round. Put just a little bit of pressure on it as you're winding it around. That seems to help it straighten out. And that's how we start our balls. If you have a small ball and you want to add more of the yarn onto it, you take the last loop of the ball, and it's the same thing as when we were tying the strips. You loop through the strip, you bring the ball back through, and you cinch it down tight just like you were making a strip. And then you can start rolling your ball from there, and you've connected the strips that you have with the ball that you're working on. And we always go back, pick up your yarn, and loop it back through just to hold it in place. And that's our ball of plarn. Okay, now we're ready to start our mat. We take our ball of plarn, you take the end of it, and I don't hold it like you normally would to crochet, because when you're normally crocheting, you've got it something like that. That's too much. I let it rest in my hand like that and put my finger around it. Then to start it, I make a loop there, and you've got a little bit left out here, but that's okay. You can work that in at the end of the mat. Come through, and it's a simple chain stitch. Any of you that crochet know what I'm talking about with that. It's just a simple crochet chain stitch to start the mat. You basically loop it over your hook and pull it back through. And you do this until, we do not do by stitches, we do by inches. The mats are 3 foot by 6 foot. I do my mats from top to bottom, which means I have to have a 6 foot length of this before I can start my mat. That's all there is. It's just a simple chain stitch. Now, when you've got your length that you want, you've got your crochet hook in this chain. You want to skip this chain and go to the next one to start your next row. And basically what that does, it gives you your first stitch for the next row. And there I've dropped it. That will happen. If it does, go back, pull it out, and pull it back through again. And then you go back on your next row. Very simple there. I dropped it again. That happens with this plastic. The plastic is thick. Sometimes it's hard to pick up. If you do drop one of the sides, because you're working with two sides of the yarn, so sometimes you will drop one of them. If you do, just go back, undo it, pick it up, and go back again. But then that is your first row in your mat. And like I said, the mats are 3 foot by 6 foot. You can go either way. Some of our girls do the 3 foot width, which makes them work with a 3 foot length of yarn. I prefer to do mine by the 6 foot. And then make mine 3 foot wide. Either way's fine. But that is it's just a very simple single crochet is what makes the mat. Okay, and here are samples of our finished mat, and I told you that you could do it either way, either go the 6 foot length or the 3 foot length. This mat shows going the 3 foot way, and they crochet until it's 6 foot long. This one shows going the 6 foot length, and you can tell it's basically the same stitch. They will lay the same. As for what you want to do when you finish your mat, some of us make a loop. I think they're made 6 foot long that you can loop through and secure your mat. Some of us attach that to the mat and then put strings attached to the mat to hold it together. This they can put over their shoulders to carry it. Our church wanted to do something a little different. We are putting a track on each mat that has the gospel on it. We have just started this. We think it's a great idea to share the gospel with these people, and this is just a little something that our church is helping us do with our mats now. But that's how you finish the mats. That's what we're doing to finish the mats. And I hope you can do this from the video. If you have any questions, let us know.